Hello, today we're going to talk about integers. This lesson is actually divided into two parts, and this is the part that will just be focusing on integers. We talked a little bit about our vocabulary and the word integer and what an integer is. An integer can be a negative number, it can be a positive number, it could also be zero, but it cannot be any number that has a fraction or decimal attached to it. Now, why would we need to know anything about integers? Well, we actually use integers to represent situations in real life. So, for example, what integer would represent the following? If the temperature is 15 degrees above zero, then we would say that the integer representing that is positive 15. If in a football game there was a gain of 12 yards, that would be positive 12. If Sally dove 40 feet below sea level, that would be an integer of negative 40. And an increase of 25 miles per hour would be positive 25. Have you ever heard of a minteger? We can use mintegers to somewhat understand how integers work. For example, if we look at the zero minteger, we can think about an actual mint that we would eat. If it tastes like zero, that means it would taste neutral, so it wouldn't taste like anything. But as you move farther to the right on your number line, the mints start tasting better. So maybe a number 1 tastes like spearmint. Maybe number 2 tastes like wintergreen, number 3 tastes like cinnamon, whatever your favorite flavors are. And as you go farther to the right, as the numbers get bigger, they taste better. Now, on the flip side of that, if you've ever heard of those Harry Potter jelly beans that don't taste very good, that's what happens when we move to the left on the number line as the numbers get smaller. So for example, maybe a negative 1 tastes like grass. And maybe a negative 2 tastes like dirt. You can only imagine how bad these flavors are going to get as you get down to, say, a negative 7. Ew, gross. So when we think about integers, if I wanted to compare two integers, I could say, which would you rather eat, a negative 5 or a positive 6? Well, I don't know about you, but I would rather eat a positive 6, and so that means that 6 is greater than negative 5. Now, it says to order the following integers from least to greatest by using a number line. Some people don't have to use a number line in order to order integers. Maybe you can think of your mintegers and then place these numbers here in order from least to greatest. If you struggle with that, then one way to do it would be to draw a number line. Now, when you draw a number line, make sure that you always include 0 on your number line and you have equally spaced tick marks. So let's go ahead and do that now. Space out your tick marks as equally as you can. And then we need to label 0 somewhere, so I'm going to put 0 right in the middle. Now, if you remember, the positive numbers are all to the right of 0, and the negative numbers count to the left of 0. So if I'm going to graph negative 1 on the number line, I'm going to start at 0 and count 1 to the left. So this is going to be negative 1, and then I'm going to graph my point. Next, I'm going to graph positive 4, so I'm going to count 4 to the right of 0. Here we go, and I'm going to label that one 4. Next, we have positive 2, so again, starting at 0, 2 to the right would have me end up here, positive 2. Next is negative 8, so I got to count negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, and negative 8. So here's where negative 8 is going to be. Next, I have positive 7, so counting to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And lastly, this one wants me to go ahead and graph point 0. Now, the object of doing this was to order the integers from least to greatest. So now what's nice about using a number line is my integers are ordered right down here where I labeled them from least to greatest. So negative 8 is the smallest, followed by negative 1, 0, 2, 4, and 7. Okay, now in your notes, you go ahead and try the next one. Draw a really nice number line, have your equally spaced tick marks, label your 0. Go ahead and plot all of the points so that they're listed from least to greatest. Pause the video and do that, and then press play again to check your answer. Okay, so here is my number line, and I need to go ahead and label 0. Unfortunately, my screen is out of room on the bottom, so I'm going to have to label 0 up on top of my number line. So there's 0. I'm going to go ahead and graph positive 5. Here's positive 5. Then I have negative 9. There's negative 9. And then positive 3. Next is positive 1. Then negative 3. And negative 5. Okay, so now if we take a look, going from left to right, here are my numbers in order from least to greatest. I'm not counting 0 in this one because it didn't ask me to plot a 0. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about inequalities. These symbols right here are called inequalities because they're not equal. This first symbol means less than. One way that you can remember that it means less than is it kind of looks like an L tilted on its side just a little bit. And this symbol over here, this is the greater than. Now, I'm not sure what your teachers in the past have shown you, but sometimes when we draw our symbols, we can make them look like a Pac-Man, where Pac-Man is always going to be eating the larger number, or sometimes my favorite is to draw the alligator. Here he is. And so they're always going to be pointing towards the larger number. So the larger number is going to go in the mouth. Okay, so looking at problem number 3, we're comparing negative 8 and negative 5. Think about your mintegers. Would you rather eat a negative 8 or a negative 5? Which is going to taste better? Which is the bigger integer? I would rather eat a negative 5. So that means the symbol I'm going to use is going to be the one that's open towards the negative 5. Next one, we have negative 7 and positive 7. Well, that's going to be an easy one. Anytime you have a negative compared to a positive, the positive number is always going to be larger. And the way that we read this answer is we say negative 7 is less than positive 7. Okay, next we have 4 and negative 9. Again, the positive number is always larger than the negative. So the correct way to read this one would be 4 is greater than negative 9. And lastly, negative 21 compared to negative 25. Which one would you rather eat? Negative 21 is larger than negative 25. Nice job. Okay, now it's your turn to try. You're going to pause the video, answer questions 7 through 14, and then play the video to check your answers. The first part says, list the following integers from least to greatest. You can choose if you want to use a number line. And then the second part, use less than, greater than, or equal to compare. Go ahead and pause the video now, answer the questions, and then play to check. Okay, let's go ahead and check your answers. So for the first part, doing least to greatest, the answer to number 7 would be negative 9, followed by negative 6, negative 1, 0, 3, and then 4. For number 8, our answer from least to greatest is going to be negative 11, meaning the worst tasting minteger goes first, negative 8, negative 4, negative 3, 4, and 8. Good job. Now let's use our less than, greater than, or equal to compare. For 7 and negative 2, 7 is greater than negative 2. Number 10, negative 4 is less than 5. Number 11, 10 is greater than negative 10. Number 12, negative 9 is less than negative 8. Number 13, 0 is greater than negative 3. And number 14, negative 15 is greater than negative 16. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.